Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. 81 million ringgit for Jasa during a time of crisis simply is not acceptable, according to a former Prime Minister. The Pakatan National Government has proposed to revive the Special Affairs Department Jasa Propaganda Unit with an allocation of 81 million ringgit, 4 times more than it was allocated under the BN era. Speaking during the debate of the Supply Bill Budget 2021 in the Dewan Rakyat today, former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak said such spending during a time of crisis was unacceptable.
Tapi pada zaman krisis di mana peruntukan lebih diperlukan untuk selamatkan rakyat, kenaikan peruntukan 4 kali ganda bagi agensi jasa berbanding zaman BN adalah sukar diterima oleh ramai dan mengundang kemarahan rakyat. Saya boleh terima jikalau peruntukan tersebut dibelanjakan untuk pembelian pelitup muka atau sanitiser kepada rakyat, diberi kepada ibu bapa untuk menggantikan bekalan rancangan makanan tambahan bagi murid-murid yang dinafikan sarapan pagi kerana sekolah-sekolah telah ditutup sehingga awal tahun hadapan. Tapi saya tidak dapat terima cadangan jumlah 81 juta untuk jasa.
Jasa was abolished during the Pakatan Harapan administration. During the BN era, it received annual allocations of between 21 million to 22 million ringgit from 2011 to 2018. Also in his debate, the Pekan MP urged the government to expedite approving an additional 1,000 ringgit cash aid for Sabahans battling the COVID-19 outbreak, particularly current recipients of Bantuan Perkhidmatan Nasional. He said while the state is expected to receive 1.25 billion ringgit in sales tax payment from Petronas next year, many Sabahans are currently in need of urgent cash.
Tuan Yang Dipertua, rakyat Sabah perlukan bantuan sekarang, bukan tahun hadapan.
Najib had first raised the 1,000 ringgit additional cash aid last month, ahead of the Budget 2021 tabled in Parliament on November 6th. There are currently over 737,000 reported BPN recipients from the B40 and M40 categories in Sabah. The confusion over the ruling on the need for motorists to scan the MySejahtera QR code at petrol stations have been put to rest. In the past 24 hours, there's been one question on many Malaysians' minds. Who needs to scan the MySejahtera QR code at petrol stations? Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob provided the definitive answer at a press conference today on the ruling involving petrol stations after almost a day of public confusion.
Bagi individu yang mengisi minyak di pam dan membayar menggunakan transaksi kredit kad, debit kad ataupun aplikasi dalam talian, tak berjumpa dengan sesiapa pun secara bersendirian. Dan tak perlu masuk ke dalam kedai untuk membuat bayaran misalnya. Dia pakai kredit kad di situ saja, tidak ada dibantu oleh pekerja-pekerja pun, dia sendiri. Jadi oleh kerana tidak ada konteks dengan sesiapa saja, maka mereka ini tidak perlu mendaftar menggunakan aplikasi MySejahtera atau manual. Mereka just swipe kredit kad, pam minyak, and then keluar.
Ismail added that those paying through the window or pigeonhole by passing cash to the cashier through the glass without entering the petrol station will be exempted from signing in using the MySejahtera app or manually. Those using an automatic car wash at the petrol station will also be exempted. Those pumping air for their tyres are exempted too. However, those who enter the convenience store at a petrol station, whether to pay for fuel or to buy goods, will have to sign in. Those using the workshop, a manual car wash facility at a petrol station, will also need to sign in using the app or manually. Previously, it was reported that all motorists wishing to stop at a petrol station will need to sign in. Former Defence Minister Mat Sabu told Parliament today why politicians shouldn't involve royalty in political conflicts. Amanah President Muhammad Sabu told Parliament today that royalty in Malaysia should not be dragged into any conflict that arises among politicians.
Jangan siapa mengheret institusi yang mulia ini ke kancah politik. Kaum dan bangsa yang paling setia dengan ketua ialah kaum Gurkha, Nepal, tetapi mereka akhirnya bangun menolak institusi raja di negara mereka. Dan kita tidak akan jadi begitu. Oleh itu siapa saja, pembangkang atau kerajaan, NGO atau siapa saja, hendaklah kita bersikap betul-betul biar kita yang bermasalah, tapi jangan mengajak institusi yang lain bersama dalam hal konflik antara eksekutif, antara pemerintah dan pembangkang.
The Kota Raja MP, in his debate on the Supply Bill Budget 2021 today, also alluded to the ongoing anti-monarchy protests in Thailand. He said Thailand, despite a deep-rooted culture of reverence for their monarchy, had seen a wave of uprisings from the past to the current student-led protests. The ongoing uprising in Thailand saw pro-democracy protesters adopting the three-finger salute from film franchise Hunger Games as their symbol of unity amid an emergency declaration and mounting crackdown. Is it okay to photograph or record a video of a police officer as they're working? Bukit Aman has this to say on the matter. Taking a photograph or recording a video of police carrying out their investigation could land you in trouble under Section 186 of the Penal Code for obstructing a public servant in discharging his or her public functions. This was revealed by Bukit Aman CID Director Huzair Muhammad in a statement today. The statement was made in relation to the arrest of a 23-year-old man recently who recorded a police officer in action during a raid. While Huzair's statement did not name the person, it is believed that he was referring to former University Malaya Association of New Youth Umani President Wong Yan Ke. Huzair said the arrest was made following an offence under Section 186 of the Penal Code relating to obstructing a public servant from carrying out his or her duties. He explained that this is because each investigation is confidential and cannot be exposed arbitrarily. He also clarified that taking a video or recording a video is not an offence in itself. However, for the sake of the investigation, if the photo or the video is shared, spread or viraled on social media, it could obstruct the investigation. The act of doing so is also against the provision under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. Deaths related to COVID-19 in Malaysia have reached 300. Here's the country's latest situation. The Health Ministry today reported 869 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the number of active cases to 11,446. Sabah reported the highest number of new cases with 397, followed by Selangor with 235 and Negeri Sembilan with 141 cases. From the total, only one was an imported case involving someone entering the country from Nepal. Malaysia also reported 6 new deaths today, bringing the cumulative death toll due to COVID-19 to 300. All 6 deaths were reported in Sabah and included one foreigner. During the daily press conference today, Health Ministry Director General Dr. Najib Abdullah said the conditional movement control order could be cut short if the number of new cases continue to drop in the next 2 weeks. Azman Ali continues to rise through the ranks in PN by scoring a leading role in the coalition ahead of the next election. Perikatan National Information Chief Muhammad Azman Ali has been appointed as the National Election Director by the Coalition Supreme Council. In a statement today, PN Secretary General Hamzah Zainuddin said Azman's appointment was agreed on unanimously yesterday as PN appears to prepare for elections. Hamzah added that the council also unanimously decided to establish PN license committees at the state level to coordinate the coalition's activities. The heads of these committees will be chosen by PN chairperson Muhyiddin Yassin. PN officially comprises Bersatu, PAS, Parti Solidariti Tanah Airku and Sabah Progressive Party. The coalition is supported by BN, Gabungan Parti Sarawak and Parti Bersatu Sabah. Meanwhile, the 4 PN component parties have also pledged support for Budget 2021. These parties collectively control 50 seats in the Dewan Rakyat. The first round of voting on Budget 2021 will take place on November 25th. Coming up next, most world leaders have thanked Joe Biden, but China has been surprisingly quiet. Beijing has yet to congratulate Joe Biden on his presidential victory, but China's state-backed media has weighed in, saying it could be good news for bilateral relations. Congratulations from around the world have poured in for US President-elect Joe Biden. However, one big player, China, has yet to do so. In a press briefing on Monday, China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin tread cautiously around the issue.
We note
that Mr. Biden has declared victory. We understand that the result of the US presidential election will be determined following US laws and procedures.
Earlier in the day, state-backed newspapers were more straightforward, even sounding a note of optimism about the future. An editorial in the influential Global Times said a Biden presidency would mean more predictability, and that would be in the common interests of the people from both countries and the international community, starting with trade. Under President Donald Trump's administration, the US launched a bruising tariff war with China. Trump has warned that victory for Joe Biden would mean a win for China and that Beijing would own America. But there is little to suggest Beijing will find Biden a soft alternative. Biden has called Chinese President Xi Jinping a thug and vowed to lead an international campaign to pressure, isolate and punish China. His campaign has also labelled China's actions against Muslims in the country's western Xinjiang region as genocide, a step further than current policy. Even the Global Times acknowledged that a changing of the guard was unlikely to ease pressure on China when it came to issues like human rights. But in the China Daily, a separate editorial called for reviving trade talks, saying it was one of the last threads linking the two countries, and a good start for restoring trust and understanding. Glaciers in China's mountains are disappearing at a shocking rate as global warming brings unpredictable change. This is the Laohugo No. 12 glacier. Spanning over 7.7 square miles, it's the largest glacier in the Qilian mountain range of northern China. But rising temperatures are causing it to shrink at a record pace. Ching Chang is the director at the local monitoring station.
When I first came here in 2005, the glacier was around that point there, where the river curves around. But now, after around 15 years, the whole glacier has shrunk by more than 150 meters. The speed that this glacier has been shrinking has shocked me. It has been so rapid.
And it's not just the Laohugo glacier that's retreating. The outlook is grim for all of the 2,684 glaciers in the Qilian mountain range. Average temperatures have risen 35 degrees Fahrenheit since the 1950s. Snowfall has increased too, but it's not nearly enough to compensate for the loss of the glaciers caused by global warming, according to Chin. The 47-year-old scientists have been monitoring the Qilian snow sheets over the past 15 years. He describes the glacier as an old friend.
The glacier began shrinking at a faster rate in the mid-1980s. By the end of the 1990s, it started shrinking at an even faster rate. Then after we entered this new century, our glaciers continued to shrink at quite a rapid rate. Initially, monitoring results suggest that since the year 2000, the glacier has been shrinking at a rate of about 10 or so meters per year. That is, in fact, not a very healthy sign, because the rate that it is shrinking just keeps getting faster.
And that is all for me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Michael. Thank you for watching.